Well, howdy partners, and welcome back to the Indie Roundup Rodeo. What we do around here is talk about these little old indie games you can go out and play right now. Today we're going to be focusing on games you can play on a Macintosh device, and that ain't because my recording equipment is all on the fritz right now. Today I'm going to be talking about three little doggies that have interesting spins on the horror genre. Oh god, I can't seem to get away from horror on my channel. But don't worry, these titles aren't all that spooky. So please, sit down and enjoy the show. I've always been a fan of Lovecraftian cosmic horror. There's something of the feeling of being a small, insignificant speck before a cosmic god that just hits different, you know? And I'm not the only one who thinks so. People have been adapting Lovecraft's works for decades now, mostly to cut out the racism, but there's still something in those stories that still resonate with people today. There has been a couple of games that have tried to tackle the material from Harry Potter Lovecraft, but there's only one, that I know of, that turned his work into a roguelike shooter. I'm talking about the tense, the eerie, the kind of fishy, Eldrich. Eldrich is a 2013 roguelike. Don't dare any of you comment. Well, actually, it's a roguelite, because it doesn't perma-kill your dog at a failed run, or whatever Reddit says the distinction of the subgenres are. You die, you lose all your stuff, you start back at the beginning, just like any roguelike. Eldrich was developed by Minor Key Games, which is pretty much just David and Kyle Pittman, twin brother David working as a programmer for 2K Games on titles like BioShock and the forgotten XCOM shooter, while his brother Kyle was working on the Borderlands series. At least David had one good game under his belt before starting this endeavor. Under Minor Key Games, the brothers were releasing games regularly until 2018, the last one being Slayer Shock, an obvious play on System Shock. But Minor Key's been rather quiet since then. I found Kyle's dev blog and he'd been posting about a new project, while David has been releasing games on his own. The latest of which coming out this year, or technically last depending on when this comes out. That game being the World War II werewolf shooter, Schloss der Wolf, where you hunt down a werewolf Hitler? Sounds fun. And with all this experience behind the two of them, I'm expecting to have a good time. In Eldritch, you play as a discount Agent Scully, or whomsoever you want to make your creative character look like, as they delve deep into these ancient Lovecraftian ruins in search of, I honestly don't know. I'm borderline illiterate and didn't read a single one of the notes throughout the game. I assume some kind of Lovecraftian treasure or Eldritch knowledge? I don't know. As you fight fishmen, shagoths, cultists, and my favorite Lovecraftian beast, penguins, while you scrounge the depths for weapons, mystic powers, and ancient artifacts. This was a pre-Hades roguelike, so narrative already took a back seat behind the exploration and gameplay loop. Like I mentioned before, there are notes scattered around, giving you some story and background to hopefully push you further down the exploration rabbit hole, but all my monkey brain cared about was shooting the flying eyeballs and getting cool magical powers. And as a roguelike, it's really good. The procedurally generated floors honestly really fit the setting of an ancient eldritch dungeon, constantly shifting and changing. And there's a couple different biomes. I didn't make it far enough to explore them all, because I'm bad at video games. But the ones I did see were cool and had some unique monsters. And just like any roguelike, you're gonna lose everything once you die. You can store the game's currency, artifacts, in a bank, but you lose everything else on death. The combat's rather good, but it's nothing special. You have throwable objects that cause a little bit of damage. There's a knife for when you want to make it personal, or just save on ammo. And a gun, which is pretty self-explanatory in a first-person shooter. And explosives that you can shoot, and it can even destroy parts of the environment. You can also find plasmid-like powers from these ancient statues. I haven't put dozens of hours into this game, so I feel like I haven't seen all of the powers. But the powers I got range from explosive blasts to invisibility, even a power that lets you summon blocks that help give you more traversal options. These powers can really help expand the way you play and make every run feel a little bit different. And I also felt that Eldritch was a slower, more deliberate experience than other roguelikes I've played. Typically, I feel like roguelikes want you to move fast, as Eldritch was really slow, wanting you to peek around corners, checking for the giant enemies that could take you down at any time. This game feeling more like a survival horror game than any other game I've played in this genre. All in all, I highly recommend this game. I only really have one very subjective, negative thing to say about Eldrich. I hate that this game hasn't been ported over to any consoles. I'm not much of a PC gamer, I pretty much just use my computer for work. But I'm more than willing to dabble at times. But I honestly feel like run-based games like this really lend itself to being on a console like the Switch, where it would be super easy to pick up and play for 30 minutes or so, and put it down after a bad run where Shaggoth eats your ass. Instead of sitting down at the computer and making it feel like work. If Eldritch were to come out on the Switch right now, I'd be playing it non-stop. Honestly, the negative is very subjective and personal to me, but I feel like it's a valid one. Overall, great game, and definitely worth your time. I'll give it 7 Lovecraftian Penguins out of 10. If I played it on a console, it would probably be an 8 or a 9 out of 10, but alas, 'twas not the case. Something I haven't really gotten the chance to talk about on this channel is my love for RPGs. The ye olde role-playing game is something I've really enjoyed ever since picking up Fallout New Vegas for the PlayStation 3. And today I finally get to talk about a little RPG. Today I'm talking about the cute, the mildly spoopy, The Lost Knight. The Lost Knight is a pixel art RPG developed by Amano Games, yet another indie duo. Hoven Paul, the musical talent and pixel artist, and Mario Cabello Zama, the designer and the one coding the game. This Mexico-based team has a couple other games under their belt, the latest being a game called Bullfrog, a Tetris-inspired puzzle platformer. It looks really cute, and it has a more fleshed-out version in development. Amano definitely has a style, and I like it. I mean, who doesn't like some cute pixel art? But let's see if The Lost Knight is more than just another cute pixel art game. You play as this spooky little pumpkin dude on his quest to make it to his pumpkin house. The problem is you can't even take a nice stroll throughout this town without getting jumped by a horde of undead spirits. Yeah, these things are everywhere. The encounter rate is so high it would make an SMT title blush, which was honestly a little surprising. Given its cute, chill exterior, I was expecting more of a chill vibe JRPG. The combat is rather Undertale inspired, instead of your usual turn-based combat that I was expecting. It's all just little bullet hell sections, where you gotta
dodge, duck, dip, dive, and dodge.
Past enemy fire, and shoot these spooky little dudes. And instead of gaining experience points like your typical RPG, you get the currency candy, and you can trade that in at vending machines to either restore your health or level up one random stat. Each vending machine lets you level up that one stat once, and that's it. And if it wasn't the stat you're looking for, keep looking for other vending machines. It's gotta be out there somewhere, right? To be honest, I wasn't a really big fan of this game. I really dig the aesthetic, but I feel like the game missed in a few key areas. There's a lack of direction, and the game is really just fetch quest after fetch quest. You find someone blocking your path, they tell you they need a MacGuffin of some kind, you scour the map for said MacGuffin, open up a new area, rinse and repeat. And this loop got rather exhausting after a little bit, especially as the map started to expand, and we're expected to backtrack even further. Also, I think there's a little bit of a problem with the tone and the sense of humor. The game is cute, with cute little monster names. It overall has a nice vibe. But then there's some NPCs and jokes that are swearing and talking about drug use, and what looks like a kind of family-friendly game. I'm not trying to stand on some moral high ground. I'm all for swearing and drug use, especially in media.
Fuck your mother in the ass, and then I'm gonna chop her fucking head off. Suck my balls, my hairy fucking big balls. Wrap them around your fucking mouth. I'm gonna shove it up your ass.
I just felt it was a little tonally inconsistent with the game. Granted, I did not make it to the credits of the game. Maybe the other shoe was just about to drop, and the whole game was going to be a more mature experience. But I highly doubt it. I have a lot of negatives to say, but I didn't hate the game. I still felt a lot of love and passion in this title, but it was definitely my least favorite out of the bunch today. I'm gonna give it 5 stale candy corns out of 10. The only reason why it's not scored lower is the game is only $2 on itch.io, and there's still some good stuff in there for $2. It's got some nice art, and I can definitely feel the passion in this game. And I am curious about the team's future titles, because I do feel some talent there. It's just that The Lost Knight was a little bit too rough around the edges to get a full recommendation from me. Do you remember when you were a wee child and you would stay home sick from school, scroll through all the daytime television, past the soap operas, and maybe even land on a game show like The Price is Right or Family Feud?
Fantasize about using your wife's what?
Her vibrator.
You'd watch a couple episodes of Steve Harvey doing his thing and slowly nod off, and maybe have a flu-fueled fever dream where Steve Harvey is replaced with a horror beyond your imagination. Well, that dream has become a reality with our final game this evening, Be Not Afraid, also known as the Seraphim Horror Show. Yeah, that's a bit of a mouthful. I'll either be calling it Be Not Afraid or Seraphim Horror Show, just for simplicity's sake. The Seraphim Horror Show was created by Slitherpunk, also known as, you see what I did there? Autumn Rain. They're an indie developer who makes a variety of cute and spooky titles, the most recent being The Seer and the High Princess, a card-based puzzle game, and Voidland Mystery Goodnight, a browser-based surreal horror title. Autumn has a unique style and vibe that I really dig, a mix of surreal, spooky, and even cute. This art is on full display in Be Not Afraid, the character models being these 2D photoshopped surreal collages that really nail that biblically accurate angel feel, with eyes and wings coming out of odd places, and some having a dash of Greek marble sculptures. I honestly can't help but love this. So let's dig into the story and the gameplay, and see if they're just as good as the aesthetics. You play as a nameless, faceless, unlucky bastard who is thrown headfirst into a game show for angels. And since angels are beyond human comprehension, you only have a limited amount of time before their presence alone melts your face. And the only way to combat this is to get through the games as fast as possible and collect these little medallions throughout the game show's challenges. And you're just put on display till you either die or earn your freedom. The game is a weird mashup of genres. At first I thought I was in for a more WarioWare-esque experience, with really short mini-games going by really quickly. But it ended up being closer to a single-player Mario Party experience, where there's 4 minigames that you're forced to play, and they all take a couple minutes each. The first one being a typing test, which honestly helped with my lackluster typing skills. Then a free fall through Poison Ivy's coochie. Then a first-person monster maze. Honestly, the variety kept the game's pace moving, and was consistently interesting. And you never stick with one gameplay style long enough to get bored of it. The game is pretty short too, it's probably like 30-ish minutes. If you're a god gamer like me. Damn it. God damn it. Not again. Why does this keep happening? So it took me a couple hours to beat the first time around. I just really needed to find out what was behind the mystery door. And it was a gallery of the cool art. Definitely worth it. The only bad thing I can say about this game is that it's kinda difficult. The minigames themselves aren't that hard, but compounded with the time limit and what feels like random spawns of those medals, you will probably die your first couple attempts at the game, and you gotta start it all over from the beginning. Like I said, it's not a long game, so you can almost excuse it, but I had to go through that first typing game so many times, it started appearing in my dreams. But that's literally the only bad thing I have to say about this game. There is an even harder mode that I didn't touch. Maybe there's new stuff behind the curtain, but I don't know, and I'll never find out, and the game is also dirt cheap at $5. I found this game to be the highlight of the trio, an odd little surprise I didn't expect. I'm gonna give it 8 cherubs out of 10. If you want a fun, experimental, not too spooky horror game, I can't recommend this enough. That's it for today's show, folks. Thank y'all for showing up to this little hoedown. Hopefully these titles didn't spook y'all too much. And if you want to see more videos like this one, why don't you hit subscribe, hit that doggone bell there so you never miss an upload. Thank y'all again for showing up to another one of these videos, and hopefully I'll catch y'all in the next one.